All right, let's dive into something really cool today. We're going to talk about a fascinating piece of biotech called GeoHoney V. Now, I want you to think of it like this. It's a living bandage, but for our local ponds and canals, a way to help them heal themselves, which leads to a pretty big question. It's a powerful question, right? Usually, when we think about environmental cleanup, we picture people doing things to nature, dumping in chemicals or bringing in heavy machinery. But what if we could just create the perfect conditions for a pond's own ecosystem to do the heavy lifting? That's the truly revolutionary idea we're digging into.
So first, let's set the stage a little. We're not talking about huge oceans here. We're talking about those small, precious bodies of fresh water that are all around us. That pond in the park, the canal in your neighborhood. And the quiet truth is, a lot of them are in real trouble.
And see, these threats, they're not just separate issues. They feed into this nasty cycle. It often kicks off with something called eutrophication. That's just a fancy word for when too many nutrients from runoff, like fertilizers, flood the water. This feeds massive algae blooms, which leads to high turbidity, basically really murky, cloudy water. That murky water then blocks sunlight, which harms aquatic life, and creates this heavy organic load that just ends up choking the whole ecosystem.
Okay, so how in the world do you fix a problem like that without just making things worse? Well, the team behind GeoHoney V came up with this brilliant new way of thinking about it. Instead of performing some kind of invasive surgery on the pond, what if you could just apply a living bandage that helps it heal from the outside in? So at its heart, GeoHoney V isn't a chemical, it's not a machine. It's this smart floating membrane that's actually built from biological materials. And its secret weapon? It's the community of microbes that are already living in the pond. The whole system just gives them the perfect home and a little encouragement to do what they already do best, clean up the water. And this really highlights just how different the whole philosophy is. Traditional methods can be super heavy-handed, really disruptive. But GeoHoney, it's gentle. It's designed to integrate with the ecosystem, not fight it. It's an on-site, nature-based approach that actually works with the environment. And because it's modular, you can tailor it to the specific needs of pretty much any small body of water.
Okay, so how do you actually build a living bandage for a pond? Well, the genius is all in its structure, which takes its inspiration from one of the most efficient designs in all of nature. The honeycomb shape is just perfect for this. I mean, it's unbelievably strong for how little material it uses, but even more important is that each of those little hexagonal cells acts like its own tiny self-contained laboratory, a microreactor where all the cleaning magic happens. This design lets you do controlled, targeted cleaning, one little cell at a time. The whole system is built in layers, kind of like a high-tech sandwich. You've got the frame, the skeleton, which is made from bacterial cellulose, super strong but also biodegradable. Then you have the workers, a top layer of biofilm that munches on pollutants, and a bottom layer of algae that soaks up all those extra nutrients. And finally, the really clever part, the boosters, which give these tiny workers a little helping hand. Now, these boosters are what make the system so incredibly smart. We're talking about a very, very gentle electric field, safely contained above the water, that just encourages the good bacteria to grow. You've got microlenses that focus sunlight for the algae, tiny vibrations that help the microbes grab on and get to work, and even targeted food, like little tea bags of leaf tea placed right inside the cells to feed the good microbes without polluting the whole pond. It is precision care for an ecosystem. Now, this all sounds absolutely incredible, but how do we know it actually works? And maybe even more important, how do we know it's safe? Well, this is where the rigorous science comes in. This project isn't just being tossed into the water. It's following a very careful, step-by-step plan. The whole deployment is planned out in phases, starting small. First, everything's tested on a lab bench. Once that's proven, it moves to a small, controlled pilot test in a real public pond. And only after they've done extensive testing and collected tons of data will it ever be scaled up. This methodical, safety-first approach is so crucial for building trust and making sure it actually helps, not harms, the environment. And success here isn't just a vague feeling, it's measured with crystal clear targets. They're looking for a big drop in that murkiness, for clearer water, a solid reduction in organic pollution, and a stable level of dissolved oxygen, which means a healthy habitat for fish. And this is so important. The system is designed to be incredibly safe. That electric field we talked about, it's kept more than 10 times below the known safety threshold for fish. So let's say the pilots are a huge success. What does the future of this technology actually look like? Well, the vision isn't just for a single floating mat. It's for a completely new, adaptable way of weaving environmental care right into our landscapes.
You have to love this metaphor, Lego for lakes. It just perfectly captures the whole idea of modularity. This isn't some rigid, one-size-fits-all solution. Nope. It's a system of interlocking tiles that you can configure in almost endless ways. And this design is unbelievably practical. I mean, think about it. Ponds and canals have all these weird, irregular shapes. These tiles can be arranged to hug any shoreline. They just snap together, nice and easy, and if one little cell needs maintenance, you just pop out its cartridge and swap in a new one. The design even intentionally leaves these corridors open so water can flow and wildlife can move through. It's just smart.
Okay, but here is where it gets truly inspiring. This isn't just a tool meant for scientists and engineers. It is designed to be a tool for communities.
Just imagine this for a second. A local school or a park group could literally adopt a HEX. Students could get these citizen science kits to help monitor the water quality of their specific tile, help with simple maintenance, and then see the results of their work in real time just by scanning a QR code. The Bandage doesn't just heal the water, it actually reconnects the community to their local environment. It becomes a living, interactive part of the landscape.
And that brings us all the way back to the name itself. That V in GeoHoney V, it's not just a random letter. It basically captures the entire philosophy. It stands for vibration, for that gentle nudge it gives to nature. It stands for vital, because it is a living system. Vernacular, because it uses local microbes and involves local people. And vector, because it precisely directs energy and resources exactly where they're needed most.
You know, when you really think about it, GeoHoney V is so much more than just a clever way to clean a pond. It's a peek into a future where our technology isn't forced on nature, but is actually grown from it. A future where we build with biology, creating living architecture that doesn't just solve our problems, but actively heals our world. So the question it really leaves us with is, what else can we heal by finally deciding to work with nature instead of against it?